Good afternoon. Welcome to the meeting of Barrow Council's Extraordinary Executive Committee. I'm Councillor Derek Brook, Chair of the Executive. Can I remind everyone to conduct themselves in an appropriate manner? Put your phones on silent. If you want to speak, raise your hand in the hand thing. Don't interrupt people. If anyone loses a connection, we'll give you 10 minutes to get back on and try and sort it out. We are being streamed live on YouTube, so welcome to all our followers on YouTube. You just missed a riveting discussion about the history of music in Barrow and the Who and Cliff Richard and all sorts of things. Pity it wasn't live, but there you go. You've just got to deal with local government reorganisation instead. So when we come to a vote, Democratic Services will do it. So you unmute yourself and say yes. And I think that's probably it. So welcome everyone. Have we got any apologies or any attendance of substitute members?
Can I do a roll call, Chair, please?
We'll go on it. Only adds to the excitement, John. Yes.
Councillors Barlow, Biggins,
Present.
Blizzard,
Present.
Brook,
Present.
Edwards.
Present.
We don't seem to have Councillor Hamilton on the Zoom at the moment. Councillor McClure.
Present.
Councillor Maddox.
Present.
Councillor Morgan.
Present.
Councillor Pemberton.
Is he here?
Councillor Pemberton.
Oh, present. Yeah.
Councillor Roberts.
Present.
Councillor Ronson.
Present.
Chief Executive.
Present.
Director of Resources.
Present.
Director of People and Place.
Present.
Assistant Director Housing.
There's always one.
Jan.
Present.
Head of Legal and Governance.
Present.
Sandra Kemsley.
Present.
Thank you, Chair.
Splendid. It wouldn't be right if somebody didn't forget to unmute themselves, would it? It just wouldn't be right. Okay, so what have we got now? Urgent items, we ain't got any. Admission of public and press. Well, they're not in the room, but you're welcome to stay on YouTube until the end. Do we have any declarations of interest? Looking around, no. We have had no requests from the public to ask a question, have we? I guess, no. So we're on to our one proper item, which is local government reform proposal for the Bay Unitary Authority. And I'm going to hand it over to Sam, our Chief Executive, to give a riveting, exciting report. Go for it. Oh, Councillor Hamilton is just entering the room, I see here. So there you go. Hello, Kevin. You've just missed introductions. Sam's going to start.
I am. Thank you very much for that, Councillor Brook. Just a couple of things just to clarify before I talk you through the report. Can councillors confirm that they did receive the amended page 13 that was emailed out and I think posted to some members? I'm seeing general nods and thumbs up. That's great. Thank you very much. Just draw your attention to a minor typo at paragraph 3.12, where it should say the 13th of November, not the 13th of October. And also we did circulate earlier this morning, I think, correspondence that we'd received from the Chief Exec of Cumbria County Council around the Fire and Rescue Authority and a response that we've sent back to them as a result of that. So all members should have had that correspondence as well, emailed them to them this morning. Again, I'm seeing nods, general nods around the room. Thank you very much. That's great. Okay, so if I talk you through this report, I don't intend to go through all the appendices. They are quite lengthy, but just in terms of the cover report. So this is following on from Executive and Full Council on the 5th of November, where you agreed that we could submit our outline proposal to the government in response to their invitation to develop new proposals for unitary councils across Cumbria, and submits a full business case, as you asked us to do back on the 5th of November. So for the last few weeks, we've been developing that full business case. It is appended to this report. It builds on the work that we've already been doing around the Bay with South Lakes District Council and Lancaster City Council in terms of the work we've been doing around our prosperity strategy and the fact that we are a functioning economic area, the joint committee that we established in the summer, and our shared priorities that we've agreed through that joint committee. So it builds on a lot of good work already around the Bay footprint. The business case does set out how we meet government criteria, and those criteria have been laid out in the invitation letter that we received on the 9th of October, and that is that we can demonstrate that our proposal does improve local government and the services that we'll deliver to our residents. It does command local support, and it does demonstrate a credible geography and an appropriate population size. And the business case sets out quite clearly how we do meet those three government criteria. So one of the fundamental principles around our business case is the fact that it is about form following function. So it really does focus on what we're all here to do as local government and what difference we want to make and what we want to achieve for our residents. And the whole proposal is about how we can make things better. We're not going into this wanting to make anything worse for any of our residents. It absolutely has to be about improving outcomes and making things better in our borough, but across the whole of the Bay. And much of that really does follow on from the work that we've already been doing in our priorities within our council plan that was agreed almost a year ago, and in the Growing Forward report that we brought to executive back in July. So it really does a lot of the things that from a Borough Council point of view you are already really keen to deliver. It absolutely builds on those, but looks at that across a bigger footprint across Morecambe Bay. The 4 priorities which fundamentally underline our proposal are around tackling climate emergency, building community wealth. So that is absolutely about growth and prosperity, but it's ensuring that we do that in a way that benefits all of our residents and leaves no one behind. It's about reducing inequality and increasing well-being and building community power so that we're working with our residents rather than doing to our residents, and looking at how we can co-produce with our residents and ultimately for our residents to be able to do things for themselves. So it is very much a whole system approach. It's not just about local government, it's about all public services working together around that footprint, specifically our health colleagues, but also third sector organisations, businesses and residents themselves. So it's built on collaboration, co-production and a compassionate approach to creating a different model of place leadership. The proposal does set out a comparison of alternative models that have been proposed and are being proposed on the Cumbria footprint, and it also sets out a financial assessment identifying the costs and benefits of both setting up a new unitary and the running costs of that new unitary. It also sets out options for the rest of Cumbria and proposes that the 4 districts in the north of Cumbria, so Copeland, Allerdale, Carlisle and Eden, could themselves form a unitary council, which in turn would be on the same footprint as the Northern Integrated Care Partnership, and would therefore reap much of the benefits that we see happening around the Bay. It also sets out commentary for the rest of Lancashire. Obviously our proposal does include Lancaster City Council, so that does impact on the rest of Lancashire, and it sets out how those could be addressed and how Lancashire County Council and other districts and boroughs and unitaries in Lancashire could organise themselves and achieve what they want to achieve. It also sets out a credible opportunity to proceed with creating a combined authority and therefore potentially leading to a negotiation with government on a devolution deal that is likely to, at some point in the future, bring in a directly elected mayor. It makes specific reference to local elections for next municipal year. When we did receive the response letter on the 13th of November, it asked us to consider what we'd want to do about elections next year. Our response is just putting that back to the Secretary of State and saying it's his decision to decide whether we have elections next year or not. It doesn't have a significant impact on Barrow Borough Council, as we only had 2 by-elections that are likely to be contested next year anyway. Appendix 3 of the report sets out our engagement and consultation that's been carried out over the last 9 weeks. I do feel that it is extensive engagement and consultation given the timescales of doing that in 9 weeks, especially considering that 4 of those 9 weeks were in second lockdown. So we have had to really work hard to do that engagement and consultation in a meaningful way that gave people an opportunity to participate, even though we're all now working very much digitally, and there was no opportunity to get out and actually have face-to-face conversations with people. But the consultation that we have carried out and the engagement that we have carried out has been overwhelmingly in favour of our proposal. We've engaged with just short of 4,000 local residents across the Bay Area, just over 1,000 through a professional opinion poll survey, and almost 3,000 through a public survey that was pushed out through social media and through emails and through networks, through various different organisations. And again, the results for those that survey work is overwhelmingly in favour of the Bay Authority. So I think that's probably all I want to say about the report for now. As I said, it is quite lengthy, but I think I've pulled out the main points. If anybody has any specific questions on any of that point or anything that they've picked up from the document as they've read it over the last few days, then I'm happy to take questions now before we move to the recommendations.
All right, thanks, Sam. Obviously, we've all been discussing this at various meetings and briefings over the last several weeks, but feel free to ask any questions or any comments that members have. Kevin, Councillor Hamilton.
Thanks, Chair. It's not a question. I must apologise about coming in late. But can I declare an interest being a county councillor? No questions, no comments.
Oh, then hang on. Let's have a look. Where's me? Sorry, it says 2. Oh, hang on. I'm trying to find my participants' hands up thing. Right, I've got Councillor Pemberton and then Councillor Roberts, I think. Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. Page 27 and 2.7 item 4 in the Bay proposal says a joint approach will put the Bay on the map and in tackling climate change emergency with more critical mass and strategic investments. In the light of this development, I hope that if we do get the go-ahead for the scheme, that the Borough Council will revert to its previous policy to support with the Lancaster and South Lakes Councils, our local MPs and North West Energy Squared efforts to get a tidal gateway for Heysham to Barrow. The Eden project will bring millions of visitors to Heysham, but without the transport facility across the bay, very few will travel the 50 miles back to the M6 up to junction 36 and 33 miles down the dreaded A590. Whereas a 10-minute drive across the bay, giving wonderful views of the scenery, would bring a large majority of these people into our area with all the benefits that this would bring. If we were connected to Lancaster and Morecambe, it will give a much better case to the link up as a unitary body that it is at the moment. Yesterday, Sam mentioned frequently the expression across the bay, but at the moment it isn't across the bay, it's round the bay. And there's a big difference. A bay gateway will also reduce travelling within the Barrow Town Hall and the Lancaster Town Hall, with the distance between the two being around 15 miles. So across the bay, we would get to Lancaster Town Hall inside a quarter of an hour instead of an hour and plus. So I would hope that these, and I hope the Secretary of State for Energy is listening, that we would go ahead and get together and be a unitary governing body for this area and get Barrow back onto the right traffic line and get us in a position to get more visitors to the town. And I hope this will be a very important role that we can play. Thank you.
Sam, I'm sure you might want to respond to that, but obviously do not ever say across the bay again until there's something else you have to say around it. And Secretary of State, if you're watching, just agree with us and give us the money and we'll go forward. Sam, did you want to reply to any of what Councillor Pemberton said?
Just to note Councillor Pemberton's comments and ensure that in any future conversations around energy and prosperity, we'll make sure that we feature that in.
Right, Lee, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Firstly, Councillor Pemberton, we've discussed this barrage proposal many times, and I think if you want the new authority, should it happen, to look at the overall climate emergency, how and it's not just about it's quicker to drive, it's about public transport, improving the links on public transport so you get people out of the cars. It's about your carbon footprint, it's about the biodiversity and the ecology of the bay. It's about a SSSI protected zones. So I don't think the benefits of you've put of being able to travel across the bay if we had needed to the north, if that does anything detrimental to the environment, then surely that's not the way to go. So I think you would agree that you think everything should be evaluated on a fair basis, and if the cost and the environment stack up, then why not consider it? But at the moment, when we be presented with the evidence and the proposals, it doesn't stack up to meet all the criteria. But surely across the bay, to tackle a climate emergency and the demands on our authorities to respond to it, we'll be better doing it across that patch. We have more in common. We can protect our coast and protect our natural environment. And if Leeds and the North came off, it would attract visitors. And I think a lot of money that would have been spent on a barge could be spent on improving the existing links anyway, so you can travel not just to Lancaster, but in the other direction, or you can join that infrastructure at any point. So yes, it probably will always come up. It probably will always be considered. But whether it's a priority, I think all the councils will have to get together and when we have joined up and have our joint climate emergency action plan. So that would be the answer to that. What I did want to say is, and we say it every time, so we probably forget to say it, or we think we've told you, but a massive amount of work. So thank you to everyone who's put the proposal together. It's very impressive, and I think we've said it many times that it's more than just moving the furniture. It started off as a bit of a reluctant demand on us when we're doing a lot of work, but it's turned into a fantastic opportunity to deliver what we all became councillors for in the first place, is to have a positive impact on residents who are struggling and who and the issues which are embedded in some parts of our communities which we haven't been able to help. One thing that did occur to me, which it just proves how we could join up and do these things easier together. This bit's been put together from 3 different authorities' points of view, yet it lines up with our going forward in our council plan. So it shows you how in tune, how aligned the other authorities' objectives are with ours, because it's like we just wrote it for ourselves, but we haven't. And it's not. It doesn't mean we have to revisit our going forward or council plan priorities, it sort of fits really in with it. So that to me proves that it would work better together. Thank you, Chair.
Right. Can't see any other hands up. No? Right. For those who are watching, there probably aren't any comments and questions on this because we've been discussing it quite a lot at various stages over the last few months. So we've all worn ourselves out, but we're all, I think, well, we'll come to a vote in a minute, but I think we're all satisfied that it's a very positive document that says the way forward that we think is best for our community in the Furness area and across party boundaries and across all sorts of other weird boundaries that we were discussing before the meeting actually started. Are we all right? Do we want to go to a vote now then? Do we? I've lost my script, as you might have gathered.
Chair, the motion has not been moved or seconded.
Oh, well, let's have a look. Where is it then? Right, I need a mover and a seconder for the approval of recommendations.
I'll move it, Councillor Brooke.
I'll second it.
Right, did you get those?
Good, thank you.
Right, so we're having a roll call thingy, aren't we?
Yeah, are you happy to go to the vote?
Yeah, we all okay, yeah?
So the motion has been moved by Councillor Barlow and seconded by Councillor Maddox. Please reply with for, against or abstain. Councillor Barlow?
For.
Biggins?
For.
Blizzard?
For.
Brooke?
For.
Edwards?
For.
Hamilton?
For.
McClure?
For.
Maddox?
For.
Morgan?
For.
Pemberton?
Or
Roberts?
Or
Ronson?
For.
That's unanimous, Chair.
Splendid. Right, can we close the meeting then? Is that it?
Yes, we can.
Right, I will see
I
you
hope you
all.
all has got a night.
See you all at 5:30 for council, and then later on watch United in the Champions League go through it with the next stage. So let's all have a fun night. See you all later, kids.
Yeah.
All right, is that it?